is Final Fantasy XIV winning?
Hey Buns, so yeah, first of all, obviously, I did change my hair. I got a cut and a color, but I am going to get more changes to my hair this upcoming week, so please look forward to it. However, that's not what I want to talk about here today. Today, I want to talk about something I've been meaning to discuss for a little while now, since we are here in the craziest month I have ever had on YouTube, on my time playing Final Fantasy XIV. Things are popping off. I said it.
See, guys, it takes some time, but the language and the vocabulary, it's only a matter of time until big dick damage. I'm telling you guys, it's only a matter of time.
Yep, so things are popping off, and there's a ton of new players coming in, and I want to set aside for the moment the new allegations against Activision Blizzard. I will talk about that more at the end of this video, but I want to talk about why I think this is, what's behind the exodus this time, and kind of just talk about my perspective as a Final Fantasy XIV creator on all of it. So obviously, when people are dissatisfied with something, they're going to look for an alternative, and that's the case right now with World of Warcraft. We have a ton of people coming to Final Fantasy XIV that were playing World of Warcraft. Now
Yes.
they may even be boycotting Activision Blizzard.
There's a lot of people like
eyes
that.
are on
Absolutely.
14 for that reason, but for the past couple of weeks, obviously, Final Fantasy XIV had already been breaking its concurrent player count records on Steam. Here's an article from Forbes where it documents all of that. Like, Final Fantasy XIV have been breaking records day after day after day. I mean, this happened this month.
It's a video, like, I find it so ridiculous. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I find it so ridiculous that, like, there's a video of me playing a video game in a Forbes article. You know what I mean? Like, that's, it's quite a lot. I don't really ever, like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, people need to remember that, like, if people say ego or whatever, I genuinely had a way bigger ego before I started streaming. And anybody who knew me knows that. Like, I was the biggest dickhead that you could ever fucking imagine. Like, nowadays, I don't really, like, none of this stuff, like, I want to say is, like, none of this stuff gets to my head or makes me think anything more of myself. Like, it's just, I just think it's funny, right? Yeah, and the way I do that is, like, I just, I live with my mom. I live a very simple life, you know? Like, I do what I do. I log on, and, but, like, overall, like, I don't have, like, a big ego about, like, myself in general. Like, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And I think it's important to know what you don't know more than it is to know what you do know. It's a lot to say, but I think it's true.
And this was all happening around the time that Asmongold decided to come and start playing Final Fantasy XIV, and he had over 200,000 people watching his stream at one point.
It's a good day.
He has, I think one of his VODs has like 2.8 million views on it. So yeah, that's a lot of eyes on Final Fantasy XIV, and I think these eyes are watching and seeing that he was having fun. But he's not the only content creator from the WoW community that has had positive things to say about this game, or is clearly enjoying the game. Also, Jesse Cox played recently, put out a great video comparing the two games, and so that has
a good video.
Getting into the ether of the WoW community. Appreciate it, man. And also Bellular has been very positive about Final Fantasy XIV as well lately. So I think that Final Fantasy XIV, it's more than just this alternative MMO that is, you know, people are talking about now. Final Fantasy XIV stands on its own 2 feet, because Final Fantasy XIV is a damn good game. That's what I've been trying to tell y'all the whole time I've had this YouTube channel. What do you think that's what I've been doing. That's why I made this channel. Like, a lot of the videos I've made on this channel have been about, you know, encouraging people to come and try the game, telling people how can you get your friend to keep playing the game, how can you have more fun playing the game, how do you understand the game. Like, this is what I'm here doing.
I used to do the same shit with WoW. Like, that's what I used to do in my WoW videos. You know, like, I used to try to encourage people to play the game and, like, get them invested into it and everything like that. Like, this is one thing I used to be really fucking into, man. Yeah, I used to love this shit. I was so like, I was all about this.
I'm out here shouting from the rooftops about how much I love this game. I actually made a video a little while back where I talked about how the Final Fantasy XIV community's bubble is bursting, and I'll talk a little bit more about the things that I discussed in that video.
What she's saying basically is there's an influx of degenerates, primarily from the World of Warcraft balding community, and because of that, you know, the game will have a culture change because of those Malders and Balders that are coming over. I do want to say, though, like, there are still games, like, I would not necessarily recommend playing WoW right now until they get their shit back together, but overall, I would recommend playing a lot of games. Like, games I would, like, I would recommend playing Final Fantasy XIV. Like, the thing is, like, if you like story games, you will like Final Fantasy XIV, absolutely. But if you don't like narrative story games, you will probably have a really hard time getting into the game. No, I would recommend it for sure. There's a handful of other games, too, that I would recommend also.
At the time, I think it was just when Asmongold had decided to start playing 14.
Yeah, big surprise.
It really shook up the 14 community, I'll tell you that, because I mean, we were a pretty small bubble before. Well, change has come. You know, lots and lots of new people with lots of different ideas have all come in, and this is shaking things up quite a bit, and not everybody likes that too much. There's some people that get very set in their ways, very comfortable with the way things are, and we're very threatened by the new wave of players coming into the game. And now there's
a lot of people that were tweeting about me. They were like, Asmongold, I don't know why you guys like Asmongold. He made a tweet 4 years ago that was mean. Yeah, he made a tweet, and, yeah, I don't know why we like this guy. This guy's a piece of shit. He's a complete piece of shit. Remember whenever he made the tweet? Uh-huh, that's what I thought. And you like him? Uh-huh? Yeah, remember the tweet, idiot.
They feel even more threatened, but, yeah, I got quite a bit of hate for that.
Yeah, people were mad at me, and, like, you know what I do whenever people are mad at me like that? I just ignore them because they don't matter. I ignore them because they don't matter. Their opinions don't matter. Their thoughts don't matter. Everything they do doesn't matter. And they're just stupid. And so there's no reason to care about it. It's literally that simple.
One of the, like, less offensive messages that I can show you here. This one I got, like, immediately after I posted the video. Someone said, well, I'm leaving this server. They're talking about my Discord server. Tell her to quit inviting the toxic community of WoW to FFXIV, for goodness sakes. And it's like, it's so weird to me when people say this kind of stuff. It's like, do you realize how antagonistic you sound? Like, you are telling me that community is toxic, and yet you're angry with me just because I've been inviting, just because I've said, welcome, come on in, like, the water is fine. I'm never going to apologize for that. I'm never going to stop doing that. And for all the new people coming in now, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. I'm so happy you're here. I don't care if you don't fit into a particular mold of what people think that you should be, because the case is when you've got lots and lots and lots of new people, everybody is going to have different opinions on things. People are going to have different perspectives on things. And I just don't know how you can get by in this world. I know I'm getting a little off track, but how you can get by being so intolerant of differing viewpoints. Shadowbringers has been a
huge... it's simple the way they do it. They spend all day in little echo chambers agreeing with each other and shutting out anybody who doesn't, and they do that for long enough that they believe it's real.
Critical success. So we had already been seeing a lot of players come in as the word started to spread about how people were saying, actually, this has one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever written in this MMO. And, you know, I've told people that in real life. You know, I've spoken to people who don't play any MMOs ever, but liked Final Fantasy games. And I'm like, look, you gotta try. Yes, I'm doing this to people in real life as well. I'm like, yes, you've got to try Final Fantasy 14. At least play through the story. At least go through the story. I remember that the writer for Shadowbringers was given a standing ovation at PAX West.
That was the link that people showed me.
She was actually brought to tears because of that gesture, but it was well deserved. I mean, she got the standing ovation because of all these people that play through Shadowbringers. But they probably still had tears in their eyes from just playing the damn game. To have an expansion like that happening at a time when in the backdrop we have people in the World of Warcraft community more upset than ever before about the treatment of certain characters in their story. Like Sylvanas has received a ton of criticism realism. It's been like a natural transition for a lot of people who are really caring about the story because of the massive numbers.
Well, the story sucks. That's why people are mad, is because it's bad. It's a bad story. Every cinematic creates more questions than it answers. It's bad storytelling. That's literally all there is to it. It's just bad storytelling. Even if the story is good, the way that it's being told is bad. It's being told in a completely disjunct way. You have no continuity between the different things. In order to understand the context behind things, you need to read the books. It just sucks.
People that have been joining the
Mad
game
because bad, yeah.
Naoki Yoshida had to write a giant essay explaining to the player. Well, he didn't have to write a giant essay. Okay. He found time to write this huge essay regarding the growing player population and plans to alleviate world congestion. This was crazy. That he spent so much time on this, explaining to the player base exactly what they're going to do to let the servers allocate more people logging in.
That's a lot of fucking people.
There's just so many people logging in, the servers can't even handle it.
That's a lot.
He explained, well, they need semiconductors to upgrade the servers, and here's how the way the server infrastructure works, and here's how the login caps works. And a lot of people were really touched by this. They were touched by
we read this.
His care and his transparency and making sure that players understand every little thing. In the end of his letter, he said, as producer, the responsibility for being unable to predict the current influx of new players falls to me. The days before an expansion's launch are supposed to be ones of excitement, but instead they brought many players grief, and for that, I personally am extremely sorry. No one would blame him for not being able to predict the current influx of new players. He doesn't have a crystal ball. Well, maybe he does have a crystal ball, but Hydaelyn isn't really a ball, right? Hydaelyn definitely doesn't have.
Well, you have to know, you can know what's going to happen, right? And it's also about, it's not necessarily there's always a big difference that people don't really understand. And, in leadership, there's a difference between fault and responsibility. Whenever you're in charge of something, things going wrong are not necessarily always your fault, but it is always your responsibility, because your job is to make sure things go right. And whenever things don't go right, that's your problem. And it doesn't mean that you did it. It doesn't mean that you did it wrong, but it is ultimately your responsibility to make sure that those things do not go wrong. And I think that people oftentimes, especially in Western culture, this is something that is it's very common. People treat leadership positions like rock star positions. Now I'm in charge and I can tell everybody what to do, right? People, they watch too many episodes of the Donald Trump fucking show, right, where he fires people, and they think that's what they want to do because they have small egos and they're stupid. But the reality is, that's not how you make that's not how you make decisions as a leader. That's not what you do. And a lot of people don't really understand that, and it's become more and more the case.
The point is that it was very touching, the way he showed his concern for the players and takes his responsibility of making sure everybody is really happy very seriously, and it was very endearing. And we have got to remember this man is working on 2 games right now. He's not just working on as director and producer for Final Fantasy XIV, but he's also working as a producer for Final Fantasy XV. And so for him to take so much time out of his day to write all this, I really appreciated. And I think this is another thing that, people from the WoW community who may be less satisfied with the sort of communication that they have with developers, they had seen this.
What communication?
And maybe this was another factor.
What do you mean?
Encouraging those people to come on over.
Whenever you say communication,
I want to make something really clear too.
What does that mean?
Because I know probably up to this point it might sound like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh well, there's clearly winners and losers here. We got my game, which is awesome, and everything going great in it, and so all the players are coming to play my game. And then we have this other game which sucks and everything's going wrong in it, and that's why everyone's leaving that game and they're coming to my game. Instead,
that's true though. She doesn't need to say it, I'll say it. People are not playing WoW, they're quitting WoW because it's fucking garbage. There's a lot of great things about WoW, but those great things are usually vestigial from things that were great about it 10 years ago. There are very few new great things about the game. That's the people had enough. They're tired of it. They're just fucking tired of it. And it's annoying, and it's exhausting, and I am just so it's crazy. There's like a small handful. As I said, I think the new Torghast is great. I think that the raids are always great. In general, like they're very well designed overall. I don't care about the mythic raids. I just think they look cool, etc., and they're good, right? These are positive things. Absolutely. I think Torghast sucks ass. As I said, I will say this. I think the new Torghast is a massive material improvement on the game, and it is great to see Blizzard trying to salvage a bad system rather than running away from it. And I think that I'm going to give them my absolute support in doing that. However, I will say that Torghast, you guys might not like it, right? I think that it's incentivized badly, but I think the idea of it is good. The point is that, yes, obviously Final Fantasy, it's the same with Path of Exile and Diablo 3. So Diablo 3 has been losing popularity for years because Blizzard doesn't innovate the game. They just innovation for Blizzard and Diablo 3 is making a number bigger. That's innovation for Diablo 3. Oh, wow. It's just garbage. I quit playing in Season 6 because it just sucked. PoE is just running laps around them. And it's a fucking indie company. It should not happen.
Try to drive home here is that I believe that Final Fantasy 14 has a lot going for it, yes, and it's because of that Final Fantasy 14 doesn't need anything bad to be happening. It doesn't need some kind of cataclysm happening at another gaming studio to succeed. I don't celebrate it when bad things are happening at this other company or with this other game. I only wanted to explain to you some of the reasons why people might be looking over to Final Fantasy 14 and possibly seeing that as greener pastures. I really want to quote our director-producer Naoki Yoshida here, because I think that Yoshida and I have the exact same viewpoint on this whole situation. He said recently, this whole conversation about surpassing WoW is the wrong conversation to have, and it's honestly irritating. When the interviewer chimed in and told Yoshida that he was hoping he would have said, "We're the best," Yoshida said, "If I was that type of guy, we'd miss our footing on the way, and 14 wouldn't be loved by so many people." I thought this was a really interesting quote from Yoshida, because it's he's telling us, we know that one of the reasons people love...
Well, they built a lot of WoW, the guy's a big WoW fan, so it would make sense that he would like WoW, and he would not have those opinions. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely.
Final Fantasy 14 is because we approach the game, we approach the community, and we approach people from other games with an attitude of compassion, with an attitude of love, rather than with pointing fingers and competitiveness and
egos. That's what
it's us
egos.
Versus them, we're better than them. He
knows
that part of the soul of what Final Fantasy 14 is, and what this community has become, has been about kindness, has been about consideration of others. And I think that actually, if you play through the story of Final Fantasy 14 time and time again, you're told these stories that are like that, stories where someone who was supposedly supposed to be your competition in the end usually might end up being friends. Hope is really a central theme of what Final Fantasy 14 is about, and that's what the game has been about for me as well. This is another quote that I want to share from Yoshida, because it's he said what I feel.
Me and Eric's one of my best friends in real life. We became friends because we had always challenged each other about who knew more about Lord of the Rings. It was in middle school, and neither of us had girlfriends. By the way, it was me.
As a person that loved WoW for many years, and now I now love Final Fantasy 14, he said regarding this whole conversation about is Final Fantasy 14 winning because WoW is losing, or any of that nonsense, he said, without World of Warcraft, a Realm Reborn would not exist. WoW was the game we constantly admired. Our goal was to create a version of Final Fantasy from WoW. So to say that we won or lost against WoW, it's out of place to start with, because that was the game we aspired to be. He sees World of Warcraft the way that an artist might see another artist that they're inspired by. I mean, even if you're both selling art in the same museum, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to hate each other, or you need to like look at every little problem in the other person's art, or be glad if you notice a problem in their art. Like, it's not like that at all. I mean, at least I don't think it's like that. It's just like, oh, here's someone that inspired me, and I respect them, and they influenced me in my journey, in my creative journey, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to see them succeed too. I want to see more great work from them, and that's the way that I see World of Warcraft. I mean, I've said before, I also see World of Warcraft as like an old friend that I grew up with, and
it's on crack. But yeah, here's the thing: is like, of course, obviously, WoW. It's very clear, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's easy for a lot of WoW players to transition and play Final Fantasy. It's because they're able to see the way the game works and be like, oh, this is like in WoW, and oh, this is like in WoW. For me, that's what's made it easy for me to transition over, because I know it's like, oh, mount tab, group finder, etc. It's easy for me to understand.
I still believe that, and I don't necessarily say any more of that. I feel like Activision Blizzard is an old friend. I know that a lot of people are seeing Final Fantasy XIV right now as an avenue for them to still play an MMO while they are boycotting Activision Blizzard, and that boycott is completely justified. But I don't necessarily take joy in that. Nobody in my community is happy with the situation that's unfolding at Blizzard. We do not celebrate it when bad things are happening over there, especially things as bad as they are. And I think it's very foolish, it's very irresponsible to treat this like it's sports teams going at each other when there's real human lives like on the line. There are people at Blizzard whose livelihoods are being threatened. There are people who have endured so much harassment, so much abuse, people who have lost their jobs. All this stuff was going on. I don't know why anyone would try to paint that as a win for Final Fantasy XIV. It most certainly is not. So I kind of want to steer further away from that when I talk about... You
can have like positive things happen to you because of negative things to other people. But the reality is, like, you don't really want to talk about that or think about that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to look at it from that perspective. Because ultimately the reason why is because you didn't do it. Anytime that you take something as a win and you take pride and you're happy that something happened and you take any accountability for something that you didn't cause to happen, then I think that's just, it's stupid. It's stupid. Like, they didn't make Blizzard do this stuff. They had nothing to do with this. They're just sitting there making their game. They had no control over this.
Obviously I'm happy that people are coming to Final Fantasy XIV, but I can't say that I'm happy for those reasons. There's no good take. There's no good way to look at that.
Yeah.
So I guess you can tell that I have a little bit of mixed emotions about this. On the one hand, I'm delighted that we have so many new players coming to Final Fantasy XIV. On the other hand, I wish that a lot of it was happening under better circumstances. That I wish that a lot of people didn't have to leave WoW, didn't have to boycott Activision Blizzard, because I wish none of that stuff ever happened, but unfortunately it is what it is, and we are here, and we've got to face the reality, and I just can only hope that they have a massive restructuring at Activision Blizzard.
That's what they're obviously going to do.
Show accountability by firing people that have been involved in all this stuff, and the workers start to be treated really well, paid well, cared for, I really want to see all that. I want to see World of Warcraft succeed, because that's the game that was there for me before Final Fantasy XIV. That was my first love, and I will always be cheering it on. What do you think about this whole discussion about, has Final Fantasy XIV won some kind of contest or competition against World of Warcraft? What do you think?
You know what it's like? So there is a GIF of a Mario Party game, and it was a game where all four of the players were trying to balance on a ball, and the floor is ice, and it's circular, and the last person standing is the one that wins. And the Luigi one. and Mario and Peach and fucking Bowser are running around and they're just hitting each other and they all fall off. And Luigi stands there and does nothing. And all three of the other ones fall off and die. And Luigi is standing there after doing nothing as the sole winner of the game. I think that's exactly what happened with Final Fantasy. That's what it mainly is.
About so many new players coming to 14. It's actually, I mean, it's exciting. Are you one of them? You might be. Are you considering playing Final Fantasy 14? If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Thank you so much for watching.
Oh, that's me.
I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, I'm a Warrior of Light. I forgot about that. Remember that, boys?